pleasure of introducing our trainer today. Gosh, where do I even start besides that she probably by far is one of the most kind, I'll give you funny. Funny, she is funny. She is an incredible leader in New York, up at the top. Yes, one of the top leaders in the company. Super excited to have her here. But she also is a great server, and she is an incredible asset to us here in Kansas City. She is generous and helps so many in their businesses. She's a mom of 3 boys. She's from Dallas, Texas, you know, home of big hair and big heart. Where?
Big hearts and big hair.
Big hearts and big hair. Miss Monica Dawson, guys. Oh, wait, can I also add? She also ushers in incredible storms.
Usually.
So I'm super excited that you're here this time.
Welcome.
And we have the beautiful sunshine.
Yeah, I know, right? Brought some sunshine today. Thank you, Jessica. How are you guys this morning? Woo! Are you guys still riding on a high? Go Kansas City Chiefs! Awesome. I'm a fair weather fan with Dallas Cowboys, but we were cheering the entire party. Yeah, go Cowboys. But we were definitely all Kansas City for the Super Bowl. In fact, I was at a friend's house that's graduated from Texas Tech, so she's been a Mahomes fan for eons. So it was really fun to watch the game, and I'm so glad to be here with you guys to celebrate. So that is fantastic. Thank you guys for coming out on this Saturday. I know it is no small thing for you to give up a Saturday afternoon to hang out with us, and hopefully you gain some just kind of new knowledge and inspiration to build your Neora business. This is your very first regional. I know we have one brand new. There's one? Okay, awesome. This is your, you've been with the company 6 months or less? Just a couple. Okay, awesome. All right, very good. You've been here from nearly the very beginning? Good for you. Good for you. Congratulations. Well, before I dive into our training for today, just a little bit, but who's the first time we've ever met or seen or you've heard me teach? Okay, just a couple. Okay. I'll give you the abbreviated story. So, as Jessica said, my husband John and I live in the Dallas area. We're parents to 3 boys, ages 15, 14, and almost 12. He'll be 12 next weekend. Our background prior to getting involved in this industry is medical sales. We've been in medical sales. I literally, right out of college, got into medical sales. In 1999, moved into the cosmetic side of medical sales, selling devices into like plastic surgery and dermatology. Never sold skincare. I was always on the equipment side of the business. But I've been in anti-aging in some form or fashion, literally for 20 years. Almost 21 now. And my husband's still in that space. He works for a company that manufactures very expensive cosmetic devices for body contouring and sculpting and crazy stuff. And I actually left that industry when my 3rd son was born because the oldest was 3 when number 3 showed up. So that was kind of crazy. And so we decided to take me out of the corporate side of sales and become a stay-at-home mom. And it was wonderful and extremely boring all at the same time, if I'm being entirely honest. I was a very, very busy mom, but I wasn't feeling intellectually stimulated. And about 8 months after my 3rd son was born, somebody handed me a product. It was a nutritional product, and they said, I started using this product, and I don't know, I swear I have more energy, I sleep better at night, and I think I've lost weight. I'm like, I'm in. And they said, by the way, you can share this product with people and get paid. And that was my first time to really take a look at the direct selling industry as an option. I had figured out in my few short months of being a stay-at-home mom that I was going to either spend my time spending money or making money. And so, thankful for my husband, I made the decision to take my hobby time and use it to make some money as opposed to spend it. And so that's what drove me into the industry. I wasn't trying to get rich. I wasn't trying to create a second career. I just wanted a little extra shoe money, like I call it. And then Mike has to draw attention to it. Yeah, exactly.
I thought we just lost John.
Yeah.
I thought John just lost himself.
So I was just looking to create a little extra shoe money, and I was able to do that. And with that company, ended up earning a trip, and on that trip I met people that were making like six-figure income. I'm like, wait a minute, that's an option? I thought this was just a hobby business. And it really kind of grew my vision for what was available. And what's crazy is I remember sitting with one of the top earners at that company at that time and asking him, what does it take to go full-time? You know, try to make an exit strategy for my husband to quit his corporate job and go full-time with me into the business. And no joke, the day we got back from our trip, my husband got a call from his company. He was a national accounts manager for a laser manufacturer, and they had started that great recession and did some restructuring and structured him right out of the structure. And we didn't see it coming a mile away. And so it immediately, Plan B became Plan A. And all I can say is I think the world has dramatically shifted even since that time. That was more than 10 years ago now. I think kind of common wisdom now is diversification of income is a smart thing, because you can't count on things staying the same. Change is the one thing you can bank on. And so if you're diversified, then you're safe. And so I think that the direct selling industry, even since I joined, has skyrocketed as an industry because of that great recession and people feeling like, hey, I'm no longer going to put all my eggs in one basket. So anyways, so I've been in the industry now for going on 11 years. I got introduced to this company when we just had one product. I live 15 minutes from the corporate headquarters, so I was one of the fortunate ones to be one of the first to learn about it. I was one of the unfortunate ones to think I knew everything and was painfully skeptical. It took me almost a year to even give this a serious look. I'm grateful that the person who contacted me was professionally persistent, because they believed in this and they believed in me, and they said as much. And they said, I hope you don't get mad at me, but I'm not going to let this go. And there's a huge lesson in that, because if you believe in what you're doing and you believe in that person's ability to be successful with it, you shouldn't take a no quickly. And this person did not. And finally, after 10 months or so after I was shipped a bottle, I finally pulled it out from under the bed, started using it, and realized, holy cow, this is the real deal. So I got started with the company, joined with the biggest pack that I could. I couldn't afford it. And when I say I couldn't afford it, I mean I borrowed $1,000 to start. I mean we had enough cash in the bank to make the mortgage for the next 90 days. My husband had just taken a new job. After he took the job, found out he didn't get his first commission payout until the beginning of the next quarter, which means we were living off of his salary only, which covered about 40% of our living expenses. And so we had enough cash in the bank to pay the necessary bills to not get kicked out of our house. And that's where we were. We were totally maxed out on every credit line we had. We already had a $50,000 loan from my brother-in-law. I mean, when I say we were strapped, there was nowhere to go. So I hear people all the time say, I don't have the money. And I understand. I didn't either. I had to borrow $1,000 to join. No joke. So, in fact, I remember... So crazy to think back, because so much has changed in the 7 years I've been with this company. And this company's changed our lives, I mean, really. But I remember going to our very first conference in Southern California. I convinced a girlfriend to go with me at the last minute, because I knew if she came, we could split the hotel bill, because I didn't know anybody. And after that first event, it's like the light bulb came on what we had in our hands. And I remember sitting in a coffee shop with one of my upline leaders, and kind of pouring my heart out about where we really, really were. And he walked me out to catch the cab to the airport, and he handed me a $20 bill to pay for the cab ride. And I literally started just weeping, because I was thinking, crap, I don't think I have the cash to pay for this cab ride, you know. So we were really in a tight spot. But, you know, there's something magical about, you know, that kind of necessity, burning a light under your tail. I was given the gift of necessity, and so we got after it. I say we. I mean, I was working the business at the time. My husband helped me, but it was myself. And went out there, shared this with as many people as we could, got way more yeses, no's than yeses. But my why was way bigger than my fear. You know, like I knew I could possibly fail. But what our family needed was so much bigger than anybody's approval that we just got after it. And was able to pay back that $1,000 within a matter of a couple of months. Able to earn the iPad by the end of the year. This is in October. By the end of the year, we'd earned the car. And I think that's when I realized, holy cow, people can really do this. And then I just went on a mission to help as many people as possible earn the car. And it's been a crazy, amazing journey. And I will tell you that not only has it financially helped our family, we were able to dig out of wicked debt. We were able to help retire my mother. We've been able to travel the world with our kids. But it also bought my husband some leeway to make some career changes that have dramatically accelerated him. So I will just say, I don't know where you sit in this room. I don't know what you want out of this journey. But this business may be what you're looking for to create that financial freedom, or it may simply buy you a longer leash to be able to go and do other things that you're dreaming about. And it becomes the seeds of other things that you can do in your life. So it has been such a joy. So I love coming and sharing, and it's really fun to take you back to where we were 7 years ago and know that it's still available to anybody who wants it. So before I dive into today's training, I know everybody came here with a different kind of expectation, and we have some new stuff to talk about, so that's exciting. But what I'd love to do first is kind of find out if I can do anything for you today. What questions can I answer? What intentions do you have to get out of today's training? So I'm going to just let you guys chime. I'm going to take notes. Anybody want to say this is what I'm hoping to get out of today?
Grow a team to be an NMD.
Okay, so NMD. How to get to NMD?
Grow a team to be an NMD.
Okay.
I think we all probably want that, right?
That's all right. That's a good thing to want. John?
In-depth explanation of 2020.
2020. We're going to talk 2020. Okay. Yes?
What to do when you find yourself alone again?
Like building from scratch. Okay.
Not from scratch.
But yeah. Got it.
Your vision of welcome and three-way call.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Very
Yes, Miss
simple
Penn.
RRPs.
Say it again.
Very simple RRPs. Or even Zoom RRPs.
Okay. Yes, Miss Betty?
I do a lot of contacting, and of course, and then I set up, these people agree to do the RRPs with me, and then they treat me like I got the plague.
They go into hiding?
Answer the phone calls, and I'm ready to just go over and just choke the shit out of them.
And they should. Tell us how you really feel. Don't go back.
We all know where.
I'm not going to tell you what I told Mary I was going to do.
She's given us the rated G version of what she wants to do. Okay. Okay. Fair enough. Okay. Anybody else? Jessica, were you raising your hand? No? No? Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah.
Sharing product and business, turning to product to business, or identified as possibly business.
Okay. All right. Does that kind of encompass the room in general? Okay. All right. We good? Well, I appreciate you guys speaking up. I think we're going to be able to cover all this. Now, let me explain the agenda for those who have done regionals with us before. We've got some new regional formats, which I think you're going to love. And I'm going to kind of open with some of the training, and we will talk about 2020. But then we've actually got some videos. So just so you know, for future regionals, it'll be speaking, video, which is great because if you've got brand partners in other markets, you can send them to regionals in those markets and feel confident that they're going to get a consistent message, the same message that you're getting in your regional. So I think that's fantastic. But I want to start today with what I think was one of the most critical things that I learned when I started in the direct selling industry. Because I had been successful in medical sales, but being successful in this industry compared to that is a totally different skill set. And I would actually argue that what made me successful in that type of business caused me to have a longer learning curve, believe it or not, in this business. I had to unlearn some things in order to learn the correct way to do it. But I did have the benefit of incredible mentorship, like somebody who took me under their wings and said, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know. And that was even before I came to this industry. But I learned very early on something we call the laws of network marketing. This is your first business of this type? Everybody else has done network marketing before? Okay, well, you probably never heard this. I'm going to tell you. So in the world of network marketing, in the same way that on planet Earth, there are certain laws, like the laws of physics, the laws of inertia, right? Like whether you agree or disagree, they are. In the direct selling industry, there are 3 laws that your business is guided by, whether you agree or disagree. The first is the law of duplication, the law of leverage, and momentum. So duplication, leverage, and momentum. I just like to write. It just makes me feel powerful. And I'm glad everybody mostly sat on this side of the room because I'm a lefty, so I can't write over there. But it's duplication, leverage, and momentum. And they really come in this order. And fundamentally it's this. Everything you do and don't do duplicates, whether you're conscious or not of it. The name of the game, therefore, is to use leverage, which is something besides yourself. And if you do these 2 correctly, and you can activate a group of people simultaneously, you gain momentum. So that's the concept, right? So everything we're going to talk about in the training on how to do things and what to do, the first question is, does it duplicate? Can somebody that doesn't have your personality, that doesn't have your same kind of means, whether it's, people that they know, or finances, or, personality, can they do what you did with others immediately without needing extensive training? Our business is one that, when I sell, I make money, but if I can teach 3 people to do what I did, then I make a lot more. But if those 3 people can become 30, and 30 become 300, and 300 become 3,000, that's when you start getting into the real income. You've got to be able to have masses of people doing a few simple things. So if it's complicated, if it requires a lot of training, immediately your duplication goes down the drain. And in my first business, the product was very complicated. The company didn't have a clear system. They didn't have great tools that explained the products. They had very mediocre, video assets. And so I was a sales trainer at my prior job in medical sales. So I was like, that's okay, I can do all of that. And so I became one of the best presenters. I was great at recruiting. I was great at training, but it was extremely complicated training. And so I found that after 3 years with that company, I had recruited over 150 people, personally sponsored 150 people at that company. I couldn't get even to the equivalent of regional marketing director, not even national. I couldn't even get to regional, which is insane. By the time I hit regional national marketing director with Neora, I think I had sponsored 20 people. And with my first company, 150, I couldn't get to that. Why? Because I could sponsor them, but they couldn't go do with others what I just did with them. I remember doing my very first presentation with that company. It was a home meeting, and I had watched somebody do a very complex presentation, but it made sense to me. It was highly scientific, and I'm like, oh, I love that stuff. And so I did a meeting in my house, and I did this presentation, and I knew that I nailed it. I was killer. My mentor was in the room, and I got done with the presentation, and afterwards I was like, so how did I do? And she's like, oh, you killed it. I was like, awesome. She goes, that's going to be a real problem for you. I'm like, what? She said, Monica, not everybody's going to do that. And she goes, you may have convinced the people in the room that this product is the best thing they've ever seen, but you've not convinced them they can be you. You don't make any money unless they feel like they can do what you just did. I'm like, crap, really? Like, are you sure? And even though she said that, I kind of didn't have a choice because I picked a company that didn't have a system that I could duplicate. So I went on, and sure enough, man, I struggled for 3 years to build that business because nobody could repeat what I was doing. And so what is brilliant about this company is we have a system. And if you will follow the system, then not only will you recruit people, but by default, they learn to do what you did with them, to do with others. And they can do it. And so know that everything about what we do or don't do, the question has to be, does it duplicate? Because if it doesn't duplicate, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it even works. Okay, if it doesn't duplicate, it doesn't matter because it'll only work to one generation, maybe two. Okay, the second part is leverage. In order to be duplicatable, you got to get yourself out of the equation. If you find that you're constantly talking, convincing, how many of you don't want to sell to your friends? If you don't want to be considered as pushy and a salesperson. Okay, if you don't leverage the system we're going to teach you, you are a pushy salesperson. Because if you don't leverage tools, okay, the concept of a lever, if you think of an old-fashioned lever of the pumps, concept of a lever is you use a tool to create force and energy that you manually by yourself could not do, right? That's the concept of a lever, okay? That is what we do in our industry. We leverage tools in the form of our products, in the form of videos, magazines, brochures, right? We leverage other people's stories. If you're not leveraging stories, you're doing too much of this, right? And you're making it about yourself, right? And we leverage other people's success. So all of it is about leverage. What does leverage do? It makes you very duplicatable. Let me ask you this. If I recruited with this story of, yeah, I got out of the eat and did this, did that, or in my car, or my iPad, became a national marketing director. If I'm talking to a brand new person who doesn't have my personality, maybe they don't have the context that I have, whatever things they don't see as being like me, does that help me or hurt me in making her think she could do exactly what I did? It actually hurts me. So I know many people get started and they go, well, I'm just not great at recruiting because I just haven't had success. Really? Because I'm not great at recruiting because I have had success. If I'm using my own story as the only story that they're hearing, any end of the spectrum is a dangerous place to be. You don't want to relate them to you, whether you're beginning or you're the superstar. Because both extremes are equally erroneous. What you want to do is connect them to somebody else. When I prospect somebody, what I do is introduce them to a brand new person who just got started, who's just beginning to have success. Why? Because I go, you can do that. I want you to see what that looks like, because that you can do. If it's a stay-at-home mom who's, homeschooling her kids and, is getting her product for free and earning a few $100s a month, and I'm talking to a woman who's a stay-at-home mom who homeschools her kids, I want her to hear that story. I don't want her to hear a story about somebody whose kids are out of the house and they're able to travel the world, and they can't do that, right? So the concept of leverage is getting yourself out of the way and getting that person in front of something that they can relate to, that they can duplicate with others. Okay, so that's the concept on that. And if you'll do these things, then the goal is to get into momentum. So first of all, our company has a fabulous compensation plan. You can create $500, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a month, building a solid customer base and teaching a handful of people to build a solid customer base. That is highly unusual in this industry. The strength of our product is so remarkable that even if you're not doing massive recruiting, you can still make $1,000, $2,000, even $3,000 a month with a steady group of solid customer getters. That doesn't happen in the direct selling industry. I'm just telling you right now. In the direct selling industry, your business is either growing or it's going backwards. The stability of our business, when you take into account, I bet if I were to take people in this room and go, how many people have you personally recruited in the last 3, 6, 9, 12 months? And then I compare that to what check you're actually making, it would seem the company's paying you more than they should, given the fact that the growth isn't occurring. It's unusual. But in our business, the name of the game is you want to get some momentum. And we're going to talk about the 2020, because I think you can use the 2020 to build some momentum in the next 60 days. But the magic happens when momentum kicks in. So what is momentum? Momentum is an object in motion that takes more effort to launch into motion, but once it gets into motion, you couldn't stop it if you tried. That's your goal. Momentum is one of these things everybody's waiting for the company to go into momentum or the team to go. The reality is momentum begins with personal activity, kind of bundling all your activity in a condensed period of time. Getting personal momentum leads to team momentum. When multiple teams go into momentum simultaneously, the company goes into momentum. So for those that are like, oh, why isn't the company in more momentum? Well, that's our job. So it begins on a personal level that leads to team momentum, and when multiple teams go into momentum, the company goes into momentum. So that's the concept. You want to try to cluster your activity in a condensed period of time, meaning, is it more effective to recruit one person every 3 to 6 months or to recruit 4 to 6 people in a 1 month period of time? Far more powerful to recruit 4 to 6 people. When I first got started, I think, I don't remember the exact number now, I want to say it was 12 people that I recruited in my first 4 weeks. And I was able to earn my iPad, and I think 30, 60 days later earned the car. I know plenty of people who've recruited 12 people. They didn't earn the car. Why? They recruited 12 people over 2 years. I recruited 12 people over 4 weeks. Very different. It's not just the number. It's that condensed activity into a short period of time. That creates momentum. Because you bring in all these new people simultaneously. They're fresh, they're energized, they're new, they're young, right? And they energize each other. And all of a sudden, they're watching new people like themselves come out and be successful, and everybody feels empowered by it. So if you feel stopped, if you feel alone, if you feel stuck, the name of the game is to condense some activity into a short burst of time and aim to get 3 to 4 to 5 people to all join simultaneously. And if you can do it geographically in the same location, far more powerful than spreading them out across the United States and the world. So those are the laws that whether you agree with me or not, your business is guided by these 3 laws. If you're being uniquely you and you're not duplicatable, that's going to slow you down. It's going to frustrate the heck out of you. You're going to sponsor tons and tons of people, and nobody's going to do what you did. And you're going to go, this business doesn't work. And the reality is it does. You probably aren't being duplicatable. If you're using your own story, your own success, or your own failure to either grow or hinder you, if you're using your own tools, you're doing all the talking, that's going to slow you down. And if you're doing just enough, one of my mentors once said, you're doing just enough to make yourself miserable, but not enough to make progress. How many are like, stop and go? Work really, 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 really hard. Come to a grinding halt. Whatever reason. Holidays, vacations, family, frustrations, real life. Life happens, right? It's called stop and go. You ever seen a plane take off using that method? Ever? Never. It's pedal to the metal until you get liftoff. If you go, grinding halt, stop. You're starting all over again. I was just talking with Mike about, it's the first of the year, so we're all new, diets, goals, all this stuff. And I was saying that it drives me crazy. I tried to do the keto thing, a year ago, everybody was keto. And keto drove me crazy because I couldn't, you're trying to get, who's done the keto diet? Maybe you're winning at it. I failed at it. You're you can't eat any sugar or any carbs or anything, and you're on your way. You're almost in ketosis, and then you're you break. You have a glass of wine, and then crap all over again, And so, again, just enough you make yourself miserable, but not enough to lose a pound. It's And I think we do that in our business. We do just enough to make ourselves feel like we've worked hard, we deserve the success, but we fail at the consistency. I would rather somebody pick a pace they can sustain and do it consistently than to have bursts of activity, grow extremely frustrated because they can't even sustain that in their lifestyle. Maybe it's too much for what you're trying to juggle in your life. Throw up their hands, drop it for a month or 2, and then come back to it. Because everything you did comes to an absolute, complete, and grinding halt. And the people who don't have that momentum also probably aren't leveraging the tools, and they probably aren't duplicatable. And so what happens when somebody who is not duplicatable comes to a grinding halt? Their team is depending on them. The prospects are only learning and growing and their belief is only growing based on what they say and do. So when they disappear off of the radar, a week, a month, everything hits the ground. And let me tell you, taking something that's dead and trying to enliven it is way harder than giving new life. The only person I know that's ever raised anybody from the dead is Jesus. We're not in the resurrection business. We're in the birthing business. We're about giving new life. So if you come in and at any point in your business, you're stuck, you're tired, you're frustrated, your team isn't doing what you wanted to do, the name of the game is new life, new life, new life. And it all begins with personal momentum. Your team sees what you do, they get into momentum. Multiple teams get into momentum, the company gets into momentum. Everybody hearing me? Any of this landing?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So that's the premise on which everything we do. Fair? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about what the company's doing right now for us to help you with that concept. Which button do I hit for the next? Is it the center?
Just the right button.
That one. There you go. Okay. All right. 2020. Okay, so this promotion was just launched the 1st of February. Hopefully by now, if you're not brand new, I know we have like one brand new 2020 actually brand partner in the room. But if you're not new to the company, hopefully you've seen all the training videos and been on and you've heard Amber Olson talking about this promotion and so forth. Now, first of all, I want to give you a little context for this. Truthfully, I don't know if this is a February only or not promo, but we're gonna work based on the fact that it's an only February option. The purpose of this promotion is to help you get momentum going into hair care. That's the purpose. Okay? Is to get momentum going into the hair care. To take a team of 1 and make it a team of 10. To take a team of 10 and make it a team of 50. That is the purpose, is to create momentum. If you don't use this as an incredible opportunity to create momentum before we launch a brand new vertical, you've missed the purpose of the promotion altogether. Okay? Second of all, this promotion only works if you have urgency as soon as that person joins to get them a plan, to get them plugged in and paid. If you don't have a plan for them to go out the gate and be successful, they need a plan. You got to then plug them in and get them paid. You want to guess how long you have to do this? Anybody guess? You got to begin the plan within the first 48 hours. And if you don't get them paid in their first 7 days, you probably are going to lose their attention dramatically after about 7 days. Okay, so who's not the candidate for this promotion? People who do not want to be activated. Go ahead, Jess. Well, first of all, if you've got a loyal customer who absolutely loves your product and they have zero interest whatsoever of lifting a finger, don't sign them up for $20. You will sabotage your customer base. Just to be crystal clear, in our business, you get paid to properly sort. This is a sorting business, not a selling. You sort correctly, you make a lot of money. You sort incorrectly, you make little money. Okay? And the process that you go through when you recruit sorts. And don't fight it. I mean, in one respect, I say, I'm glad the person didn't give up on me, right? And for me, it was a timing issue, because I think he had me correctly sorted. But sometimes it's just, you're trying to force a square peg into a round hole. Not everybody is supposed to be a brand partner. I've watched other direct selling companies, I've watched my friends join other companies, and they do a party, and they encourage everybody at the party to join the business, because they go, well, you could buy these products for this amount of money, or for the same amount of money, you get a lot more products, and you become a member, and then forevermore, you pay 20% less for your products. I did this with one of those oil companies. I had no intention of doing the business, and my friend knew that outright. And she still encouraged me to join. You know how much money she made? Like $5 off of my initial order, and then never a penny ever again. Mistake. In our compensation plan, you get paid 20% on initial orders, but then after that, you can get up to 15% as customers, but you can only get maximum like 7% as a brand partner. You literally cut your commission in half on a repeat recurring order.
of taking somebody that would have been a great customer, had no intention in getting into activity, and making them a brand partner. So don't do that. Okay, if that person isn't interested in putting together a plan with you quickly and getting connected and plugged into the company so that you can help them generate a paycheck in their first week, they're not a candidate. They're not a candidate, okay? So just real quickly, on a plan, we're going to talk about launching a new brand partner. So that we're going to go through that training. But if I've learned one thing in my years now in the direct selling industry that I could change going forward, it would be that 9 times out of 10, it wasn't that I failed to support a new start, it's that I over-supported a new start. Anyone know what I'm talking about? Like somebody joins and they go, I just want to get my product for free. And you're like, sweet, listen, there's a 4-hour regional on Saturday, and then our team has a call on Sunday night. It's only about an hour. Just put the kids, put the food in front of them, and sit down in front of the computer. It'll be about an hour. And then on Monday, we have a leadership call, and I'll call you and tell you. So then Tuesday, we have a corporate update call. And then on Thursday, and then, oh, by the way, we have the conference in May, and you bought your ticket, right? And they're like, stop. I just wanted to get my product for free. What in the world are you talking about, right? And so you got to make sure to meet people where they are. And let's just call it like it is. Exception to the rule, because you said you wanted to join before. Some people are joining at the $20 because it's just financially that's where they can go. But sometimes the amount of money that they invest is commensurate to their commitment to the decision. So if I spend $1,000, I theoretically, and there are always exceptions to the rule, more committed to seeing it work than if I spend $20 and some free products, right? And so it's really important that you meet them where they are. And this is, again, part of the magic of sorting. And you get paid the most to sort than to sell. And so taking somebody who's just getting started, the goal is to create belief right out the gate that they made the right decision. That's it. It's your only goal in week 1. It's not to set their vision for, going on the next incentive trip. We'll get there. Not on week 1. Okay? So my suggestion on your plan, and Anna Camp is going to talk about launching a new brand partner, but initially your goal is to help them get 3 or free qualified in their start week. Okay? Few people spend any money at all to become a brand partner, whether it's $20 or $2,000. They don't typically spend that money if they don't have some visibility on who the first person is that's going to buy. Am I right? You became a brand partner just how recently? A week ago. Did you join going, probably nobody will purchase these products from me? Did you join that way? You hoping they would? Let me ask you, and I apologize for calling crap, but we're a small room, right? Okay. Tell me your name one more time. Deb, okay. Deb, when you joined, did you already have in mind who you thought the first person would be that would buy a product that you knew was in the lineup? You already had some people in mind that you knew as soon as you hit, enter, that you could call them and go, okay, I'm in, let's get you this. Okay. Most people are in that boat. It's unusual that people aren't in that boat. Do they have to host a party to make those phone calls? No. Do they have to know how to navigate the back office? No. Do they have to go through our amazing training program to know? No. Do they need to be today at the regional? Yes. No. No, they actually don't need to. So I think the number one hesitation, if you have not activated that $20 brand partner option, is the lack of clarity on what you're supposed to do. And the answer is, when you're talking to that person about potentially coming in for $20, you should ask them, can you think off of the top of your head at least 3 people that would buy some product of any kind of these amazing 17 products that we have? If the answer is yes, sign them up. And then that day, make some phone calls. That day, go, hey, I just started using this product. I thought of you. I just got started today as a brand partner, so I can get you a really great price point on it. Would you support me and let me place an order for you to try it? 30-day money-back guarantee. You want to get them prospects that have purchased their sample in their first 30 days, in their first 7 days, rather. So prospects who have purchased their samples. That's the plan in the first 48 hours. So as soon as they join, you want to quickly connect with them and help them figure out who are those first 3 people that are going to buy them. Okay? Get them 3 or free qualified in week 1. The second thing you want to do is plug them in. In the case of what we've talked about in our organization is doing welcome calls. As soon as somebody joins, they should meet some of the people they're going to be working with. We're going to go into recruiting here in a minute, and I'll talk more in depth about the kind of recruiting process traditionally. By the way, this $20 promo is for people you're already talking to. Those are the first people you're going to call. This is not the person that you just started prospecting today. You're going to have that for sure. But it's a February promotion. These are people who have been swimming around the boat and haven't said yes yet. Those are the first phone calls that you make, right? So we'll talk about like the full-blown recruiting process. But where was I going with that? I just took my HT. It just hasn't kicked in yet. Give me a second. Oh, plug it in. But what you do want to do is as soon as they join, go, listen, I'm going to help you get 3 or 4 qualified quickly, but I'm just going to introduce you to a few of the people that are going to be working with you to help you be successful in your journey. And you want to do a quick tour to introduce them to the different people that they're going to need to know. If you were to take a job today here on this campus, after you've gone through the interview process, however simple or complex that is, when you join, one of the first things you're going to do is get introduced to the person who's going to be sitting next to you at this desk and the person that you're going to be interacting with for this. I mean, you're going to meet your other coworkers. Nobody works in a bubble by themselves. And so when somebody joins, the first thing you want to do after you've gotten them a plan to get them a product right out of the gate is you want to introduce them to people, take them on a tour. I will tell you, our team did this phenomenally well in the beginning. And then as the team got bigger, I think we've not been as good at it, to be entirely honest with you. We were so faithful to it. First of all, they met every single major leader between the person who enrolled them all the way up to the top of the food chain. Every single person. In fact, it was so bonkers trying to get them introduced that we got to a point where they're like, we had so many layers of leadership that we're like, they got to meet 8 people. Like, that's going to take a minute. So what we decided is the first couple of layers, they'll meet in person, and the other ones will shoot a quick, like 3 to 5 minute, hey, good to meet you, welcome to the team, and shoot them a little introductory video. I can't wait to meet you. Just wanted you to know this is my background, this is what I've done, this is what's happened in my business, and if I can be of support to you in any way, here's my number. That's it. And even if that's all that you did, but you got to get them plugged in. Why do you got to get them plugged in? Because you want them to be duplicatable. You want them to be able to leverage the stories of people in their organization if they can, so that you can build some momentum, right? So give them a plan, get them plugged in to your local team, but then to the company at large, and then get them paid. Our whole business orbits around confidence and belief. And people make a decision to join, and then based on their initial experiences, whether they're positive or negative, they're either validated or they are convinced they made the wrong decision. And they're making that decision very quickly. In a matter of hours, they're making the decision. They're concluding, was this the right decision or the wrong decision? So if they get qualified, they hit their first kind of marker, they get paid. Positive validation or negative validation? Positive validation. And it overcomes any negative feedback they're getting when they start talking to people for the first time because they don't know what they're doing. So that's our objective with our 2020. So what is the 2020? Somebody gets started. For $20, they get our digital brand partner kit. So they're not going to get the physical kit in the mail. The good news about that is it's immediately available for use. So you're not even waiting for a week or 2 to get it, okay? So immediately available, which means you can immediately show them where to access their tools. They get 30 days of our Go Prospect, which you should sit down with them, and after they've made those phone calls to the first 3 people that they're sure would buy in the first place, and that's why they joined you, you show them how to send a tool after they've made the initial phone call. They do place an order. They have to place an order for a product of some kind, and we recommend the Party Pack, which are 2 products, but they get a $20 credit towards that. So they do need to place that order immediately because if they start taking action and they get a customer before they've ordered a product, they will not get paid. Okay, so you do have to purchase a product in order to get paid, all right? And for the new brand partner, if they get the new brand partner who enrolls during the month of February and achieves 500 in the first 31 days, also gets a $50 bonus and a ticket to Get Real. But you don't have to tell them about Get Real until you've gotten them through your pre-qualified. We don't want to overwhelm. We just want to create belief and conviction right out of the gate. What other questions do you have about 2020? How many of you feel a little bit more confident about using it to grow your business? Okay. Question?
So when you go to do that 2020 and you put in the, it asks you to place the order, but the coupon doesn't show up until you go back in
Yep.
and activate it. So
You have to click on the box where it says apply promotion, and when you click on the box, the promotional code will pop up, and then you type the code in the box.
But what about the first time when you plug in that ADO? Is it going to process then?
No.
No. So it just holds it.
That's for next.
Yeah. When you're going through the enrollment process, you're only setting up a future ADO. It is not an immediate order.
Okay.
You have to go back in and place an order with the promo code.
The video, I think it was Amber said 5 minutes.
Then it'll take to load.
Right. Yeah, it's on
So I'm a big believer of control what you can. And so I'm not a fan of give the person your website and try to explain to them how to do it. I'm a really big fan of give me your credit card. I'll do it for you. So this is a training for brand partners, and you're going to enroll your new brand partner for them. You're not going to have them do it, right? And so just know it's going to take a few minutes for that coupon to load. But it's placing the doing the initial enrollment, setting up a future ADO, and then coming back into the shopping cart and placing an order using the $20 promo.
So is that a one-time order?
It's a one-time order.
And the ADO has to run within the month, or they don't qualify.
No, their current order will qualify them, and then they'll have a future ADO set up in the system, if I understand that correctly.
So by March 23rd, that ADO will run?
No, it'll run for next month.
Yeah, for March 23rd, right?
Oh, March, sorry. Okay, so
Yeah.
February. My
Okay.
head heard February.
No,
Correct.
okay.
That's correct.
Okay.
Or whatever the date is.
Right.
Yes.
Is there a minimum amount?
Yeah, it is. It has to be 80 GQE, yeah, which is typically a $90 order. If they do the party pack, they're fine. And you do want them to get a product that they can show people. Do some show and tell.
Is because I wanted to use products,
Mm-hmm.
I went ahead and ordered the extra eye cream.
Yeah.
An extra one.
Yes,
Because I wanted to use them,
that's right.
people, and I didn't want to wear that.
One for me and one for you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the way to do it. Now let me be clear. If anybody was at the market party presentation last night, for somebody who has not been swimming around the boat, who doesn't know about the options for getting started as a brand partner, the $20 option can be a conversation starter. But as you begin to talk to them and explain to them what this compensation plan has to offer, and they start seeing a tool, please give them the benefit of seeing the full menu. Don't just go $20. So I'm a big fan of show people the big boy menu and let them choose the plate that they want. They might want an appetizer, they might want dessert, they might want a full 3-course meal. You do not know until you have shown them everything. So upon showing them everything, then you make the decision on where they fit best in. Yes, John.
In the process of doing just what you're saying, do you highlight the disadvantages of the 2020?
No, because the goal is to get them 3 or 3 qualified right out the gate. And if we can teach them how to get 3, we can teach them how to get 6. And hopefully you get them to 500 in volume using the customer model or recruiting other people. So not necessarily, but I'm pretty confident we're going to have people that once they get 3 or 3 qualified, get excited and realize I can do this and come back before their 30-day window is closed and buy one of those enrollment packs. Right? Because now they're going to be able to access it and get the big discount that they won't be able to buy that much product in that small of a price point. So if we help them and kind of show them the vision of what's available, hopefully they take some of that money and, more importantly, confidence, and they'll go and make another investment. What were you saying?
I didn't know that they could do that.
Yeah, you can upgrade them in the first 30 days to one of the packs. Yeah. Any other questions about 2020? No? And by the way, like I said, I do believe that more of the industry is moving to a much starting point in terms of a lower cost entry. So this is not, the reason why our company did this is because they see a trend happening in the direct selling industry that people commit, at a much lower bar. And then as they go on to experience the products and see some success, they make a bigger investment. So that's not an uncommon approach. I don't know if it will become a permanent or a temporary promotion, but if you'll look at it as an opportunity to grow your organization before we launch into a new vertical, if you will be extremely diligent to make sure that those new starts are plugged in, or that they have a plan, they're plugged in and get paid in their first 7 days, you will see a massive duplication on your organization. And so that's really where we have to go. And if all that happened is you created a culture for yourself and in your team of you join, you get 3 or 3 qualified in your first 48 hours, would that be a huge victory for your organization? Huge victory for your organization. So that is the name of the game with this promotion. So, any other questions on 2020? No? We're already an hour in. Holy cow! Okay. I think we've already covered this. Focus on 369 customers, help them get to the 500 LQV. That makes them qualified for our free sample program, NGB, and then front load that month so that you have as many people starting and you can get them 3 or 3 qualified so that they don't even pay for their March ADO, right? So the earlier in the month you get on this, the more time you've got. If they don't get 3 or 3 qualified in week 1, then you've still got a few more weeks to work on it. And the month is already like half over. Like nearly, right? I mean, looking at the calendar. Remember, February is a short month. So, well, that's not true. You got 3 more weeks still in the month of February. Because there's 29 days this year because it's a leap year. So anyways, but it will whiz past you quickly. So, and your goal is to get them enrolled and 3 or 3 qualified before their ADO hits in March, correct? Okay, so the earlier in the month you do this, the better. All right. So let's talk about, that is the kind of quick and dirty on getting somebody launched right out the gate. I am going to talk a little bit about, like, if you're a new brand partner and you're already kind of in and committed and getting that belief system, or if you're an existing brand partner and you feel a little kind of stuck or stopped, or, there's never a wrong time to hit the reset button and start over your business. So it's never a time, in fact, any time you feel like your business is stagnant, the best thing you can do is pretend like you're a baby brand partner, start all over again, make your list, follow the steps, and kind of get re-engaged. So we do have a great training with our Neora/start. So if you haven't done that lately, do that. You can load your before and after photos for yours and for your customers and brand partners on realresults.com. We have amazing training videos, fast start game plan, and definitely you want to schedule your first parties. For the sake of our 2020 brand partners, I'm using the phrasing show and tell. So if you have somebody and they're local to you and they join today, it's, hey, could you get some friends over tomorrow for show and tell? I'll bring over some products and they can experience it. Because if you take somebody who, again, is just barely dipping their toe into the water and you say, I need you to host a party, they freak out because they're thinking, party! They're thinking cooking and I need to give people 2-week notice, right? They're like, I don't want to spring it on them. But the question is, hey, do you have some people that we get together really quickly for just a little show and tell? Our products are fantastic show and tell products, right? So whether it's the eye serum or the eye patches or handing them a chew or, doing youth factors, and you as the sponsor bring over your goodies and help them do their initial show and tell, okay? So, but once you get started and you're really getting in, you do still want people to have launch events, which we call real results parties. So you want to book 2 of those. We do have our Neora University on Monday nights. Great opportunity for a brand partner to begin growing and learning in this industry and also connecting with people. So those are really powerful. You want to plug them into that, and you want to get them plugged into our Facebook pages or Instagram pages, and of course if you have your own team page. I love the concept of plugging in. Again, if you think about it, duplication, leverage, and momentum, it takes you out of being the messenger. If your team isn't, a new person you bring in isn't plugged in, who's going to insist they have real results parties? You. Who's going to update them when a new promotion that's time sensitive is announced? You. Who's going to train them on the things that they need to learn and keep them encouraged when they get discouraged? You. So that's exhausting. So if you're like me and I want to make the most money for the least effort, you should really plug them in. And you should think of it like plugs. I mean, when I take something and I plug it in, all of a sudden all the power and the electricity is fed through that line. And so that's the concept of plugging in somebody into a system, into a team, into a training, is by plugging them in, you can take your hands off of that, and now something else is feeding that line. And if you haven't figured it out yet, the hardest person to tell what to do anyways is the person you personally sponsored. Anybody find that phenomena? You enroll them and you go, do this, and they go, no. You're like, what the heck? Like, you joined, why aren't you doing what I'm telling you to do? Are there sponsors sitting in the room pointing to their brand partner sitting next to them? I think I see some arms going up. Okay, so it's very frustrating. So how do you do that? You get yourself out of the way, just like you should have when you were recruiting them, and you plug them in, right? And so this is the way you do that. You get them plugged into sources of energy, training, encouragement, places where they can grow beyond yourself. So that's the concept in the plugging. And then, of course, we have our Neura Edge, which is a kind of wealth of resources, everything from our Go Prospecting to our, with our sampling system. You get the bonuses, you get the communicator. This is the cheapest investment anybody will ever make in their business. They do get it for 30 days with 2020, and after that you pay for it. But it's basically all the digital resources that you need to make your business easy, to hit the easy button. And we are going to do some training today on Go Prospect. If I will stop talking and get to the training. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to just zip over to our video so we can get started there. Once you get into the rhythm, our business really can become quite straightforward if you will learn to follow a proven system that absolutely works. And 9 times out of 10, when I talk to somebody who's frustrated in their own personal recruiting abilities, it's a function of not having stayed on point with this system. And, so much so, when I got started in this business, I wrote this little graphic on a whiteboard in my office, and I would write people's names based on where they were in this process. I would be like, Susie Q, I piqued her interest. And then I'd take an arrow and I'd move her to the next one. In fact, I did it on sticky notes. So I would take little Post-it notes and I would put this board in my office and I'd write Susie Q. And I'd be like, these are the people I'm going to prospect. And they would sit over onto the left of that peak interest. They'd just sit right there. And then after I talked to her, she said, sure, send me some product and information. I'd move that piece of paper over to the product and information tab. And I'd write on there what I gave her. And then after that, I'd be like, oh, it's time to get her on the phone and with somebody else besides me. And I'd move her over to the third-party validation. I'm talking painfully religious on this. You want to know why? Because I've recruited 150 people in my previous company they did not duplicate. You can't do that twice. Not unless you're like suicidal. That's crazy. I had to know that Susie Q, if she didn't have my personality, she didn't have my Rolodex, she didn't have my belief, she didn't have my necessity, could still do it. Okay? So I faithfully follow this system. Here's the beautiful thing about when you do this too. If I do this with Susie, and then she joins, and I go, let me help you be successful, what do you think she's going to do with the first person she talks to? She's going to do the only thing she knows to do, which is exactly what I did with her. So by following a system that's replicatable, duplicatable, by default you train them on what to do, and they now engage you into their business. And if you're having a problem somewhere, you can begin to identify it. So if I have somebody that goes, oh, I've talked to 30 people, I can't get anybody to say yes. Anybody feel that way? Okay. So when somebody goes, blah, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to sit down, we're going to take your 30 names, and we're going to put them on a piece of paper. How many of them did you move from piquing their interest to giving them a tool? Did they open the tool? Did they use the sample you gave them? If the answer is no, you're back at square one, which is you did not pique their interest. If you give somebody a tool and they don't act on it, they haven't said, I hate it, I don't like you, I'm not interested. They've just simply said, you don't have my attention yet. That's it, that's all that they've said. They have not denied you. You haven't gotten their interest yet. Okay? Yeah, I was in a training once where they were like, every time you get something that like hits you and it's for you, you're supposed to put a sticky note on your forehead. I think I know who would be wearing sticky notes on their foreheads right now. Because they're cackling in the back of the room.
That's what you couldn't see.
Yeah. Okay, so So then you go back to square one, right? But I'm going to tell you the number one place people fall off this map. Anybody want to make a guess? The number one place? Follow-up?